Good morning. Lots of people jumping on. Good to have you this morning. We're live for Tuesday updates. We are rolling. Today is persuasive communication. And if you want to follow along, we have some prepared notes for you. You can jot this in the chat if somebody could do that. mortgageplannercoaching.com/lead, LEAD. So we'll put that in the chat there. It'll be mortgageplannercoaching.com/lead. Persuasive communication. So we're focused on when these calls come in. Obviously, with less calls, right? I think back when rates were down, how much you had to just answer the phone and people would apply. And now that shift back to you need to consult. And I believe that lead to application might be misconstrued a little bit when I say it that way, because I'm really talking about getting to closing. I think a lot of us can take an online application, not necessarily where I'm going with this. But if you go to the site, you're going to see, again, it's mortgageplannercoaching.com/lead. It's open to you. Jump on that real quick. I'm going to follow and show you a few points. And I want to point out about 4 points we're going to cover today in communication and being a little bit more persuasive, right? And understanding the conversation, or being more, some of us do it naturally, right? Some will do it naturally. Some of us have been trained in it. I believe I have a little bit of both. I think it takes training on it. So, but if you know what you don't, if you know what it is, you can focus on it. You know, I remember a coaching a long time ago where one of my coaches had told me, pretend you're a little bird up in the corner viewing down at how your office is running. What would you change? And that leads to different thinking, right? So as I go through this, I want you to think about when you're on the phone with a client for the first time and dealing with them through the process. But I'm really talking about the first initial conversation, or application comes in, because that tends to go quick, and then that deeper conversation. So a planning call is how I would reference it, but sometimes it has to come up front before the application. Let me explain. So go to this page. Again, it's mortgageplannercoaching.com/lead, LEAD. You'll see lead to application. If you scroll down, don't skip ahead. I want to point out 4 things. Communication skill, we know, is a big part. We know that you have to understand their need, convey value about your product, service. I believe this is done in showing them what you offer. So in my business, this is a page that I like to run through online. It's the mortgageplanner.online. You can check it out. That's what I go through with all of our clients. Most of them, I'd say I'm about 85%. I could run that ratio of where we're jumping on screen and getting after that presentation, because I think effective communication skills is explaining the loan and then presenting it in a way that's easy to understand. It's long-term, it's short-term, it's every angle you need to look at the financing, because that's where the consultant comes in. But it also highlights the tools that a lot of my competition leaves on the table and doesn't ever talk about. I think that's dumb. If my car comes with a $100,000 warranty, or 100,000 mile warranty, I think it's important that you tell them. So if you have certain things that you should be highlighting in your business, that's communication skills. That's showing them what you offer, what makes you better. So communication skills, to me, in this fashion, is more about showing them what you offer, and that you know what you know, right? So it's in the presentation. Next one goes to product knowledge. I believe that is important. Now let's preface this. Let's table that for a second here, because I think product knowledge, man, how many programs are there? Like, I could get lost in if you look at the mortgage business today, and I know there's different buckets, but it feels like you're at Chuck E. Cheese and you're jumping in the big bucket of balls. And that's how many products we have to choose from. So can you know, now I know there may be green ones, blue ones, and they all kind of correlate a little bit, but still there's a lot of balls in there. So my point with this is, you can't be great at everything, but you can add to your arsenal, right? So master, close a couple, master, close a couple. And that's how I look at whether it's the subprime, non-conforming, adding on new products. Maybe I'm not great at 203Ks. That would be an add-on. But then can you push it? Can you push the pumpkin spice and then get a couple of deals before we go on to our next one? Or maybe we're only taking on 2. So I believe product knowledge is key, but talk what you know. Don't bullshit through something you haven't studied, never closed, don't know. And if you want to dig in and know the product, that'd be better. It's fine. but don't sell something you don't know. So you can't, in other words, you can't be a master at everything, right? So maybe you pick 10, maybe you pick 5 that you're really good at. And obviously conventional FHA, VA. Some people don't do USDA as an example, or rarely do it. Let's move on. So product knowledge, persistence. A lot of sales books tell you that people's, and this, let me say it 2 ways. A lot of sales books say that the sale is made and there's discrepancies on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th call. Okay, we know it's more than one. We also know from my study, my coaching, my clients, right? I've been on the phone with thousands of clients, that life happens. And I had to be told that because I feel rejected, right? When a client doesn't call me back, doesn't text me, I have to call again. I call again, I feel rejected. Get out of that zone. It's not rejection, it's persistence. Rejection, no. Persistence, yes. You got to go down the right mindset to be able to handle those calls. But you think, oh, I'm a nuisance. Oh, he's annoying. I'm not about. Listen, you got to approach that call every time. Persistence is what gets the deal. Here's why. Because life happens. That's the best answer. Life happens, and I think persistence is key. But here's where I want to see you follow me. These communication skills, all 3 of those, huge impact on the call. Huge deal on making sure you have a successful call, product knowledge, persistence to get the call, communication skills. In other words, presenting properly. Okay, that's how I would sum those. Got it. Let's go to number 4, empathy. Here's where I think the game changer is. Here's where I think that a lot of people miss it completely. They're so transactional. You've heard it so many times if you've watched or been in the business at all, that it's an emotional transaction. It's emotional. It's an emotional transaction. My gosh, it is, man. Last week, I talked about a client who put his purchase agreement in the wife's birthday card. Think about that. Congratulations, honey, we got a house. He put in the birthday card because that is emotional. They're closing on Valentine's Day, and we did set up some cool stuff for that as well, putting welcome home in the front yard and some flowers being delivered. And my point is empathy, knowing the deal, right? I could sum it at that. But empathy designs it a hair different. Being able to empathize with your customer and understand their perspective. Oh, I like that piece. Leave that word there. Perspective, right? Perspective from their point of view, right? Life happens. I said that. Now we go into perspective. Think about the perspective they're calling in from. When I go in to buy a car, my first thought is, I hate this shit. That's honest truth. I don't like doing it. I like getting a new car. I don't like going in and doing all that, man. Angela will say, I don't want to go do that all day. Well, think about someone calling, whether it's for the first house, second house. You have to have empathy from where they're coming from. I had a client yesterday that called. She's a longtime client. Her husband's not doing well. He's actually getting hospice at home. She hates where they live right now because they built some buildings around it. So I had to understand her pain as to why she wanted to move. So I did say, would it be easier to stay? And she explained to me why she wants to go. She can't enjoy her backyard and things like that. They're building all around her, and it's commercially zoned now, or some things changed. He's saying getting hospice at home. They're actually showing the house while he's still in the bedroom. It's a rough situation. I needed to communicate when I'm talking to her, understanding how to make that happen, right? I said to her, have you talked to the agent about how to coordinate getting him out, your husband, to the new place and making that an easy transition? And I don't think that is stepping out of line. It's stepping in line. It's stepping directly where empathy should be, knowing their situation, knowing life happened. I'm not saying get in the weeds, but I am saying that you need to. Empathy is understanding their story, right? That's another way to say it. Empathy is understanding their perspective. Scroll down a hair. Let's go to empathy. You'll see my big mug there in case you forget about this. Active listening, right? Empathy is active listening. You can read these paragraphs as you go that we prepared. Acknowledging emotions. Think of that piece. Tailoring solutions. You know, when you hear them, see, take that scenario. I love this outline with this scenario, because you take that scenario, and I'm looking at tailoring the solution. Did it have anything to do with the loan? No. Had everything to do with how I can help coordinate maybe getting a rent back and they get the other place and coordinating that move to make it easier on her who needs a little help because her family is leaving out of state. So tailoring some solutions, or next line, addressing concerns. See, same kind of thing. Same thing, addressing concerns, following up, of course, offering support. It's similar. Adapting the communication style. I think you should understand that when you're with one client, you may have to talk slower. I've had to understand that. I get excited. You have to bring it to their level. Maybe you talk too slow and you're boring me. Ever thought? So some people say I talk fast. Maybe you talk slow and it's boring me, right? So this could go both ways, okay? So when you're meeting with a client, I want to highlight, and I'll go back up to the top, and think of empathy, think of your transaction, think of the call, think of the initial call, the why. Back in training days, right? All the coaching programs, they always would train. Make sure you ask why they're doing this. And then when they answer you, ask them why again. And then when they answer that one, do it again. It was called the 3 whys. And it was a brilliant way of getting to the heart of the matter. What was it brilliant at getting at? The empathy from you to be able to custom tailor a solution for the client. And here's where the game, that's the game changer. That's why I put to closing. That's a game changer, because if you just talk transaction, I got better rates and I've done most of the deals in this neighborhood, I'd be happy to help you out. And then the other guy asks why what's the motivation behind you guys moving? What have you planned out? What window shopping have you done? How come you're looking at buying your first house? What fears do you have around doing that? Are there things that you've checked out or questions that you're not sure that were conflicting? You can ask a lot of questions to get to the why, to find the empathy. And if you find that empathy, you just change the game. Why? People do business with who they like, but also with people who care. And it's not that the other people don't care. I think that it's a fact that they don't take the time to open the book and read the book, meaning the client. Understand that there's a backstory behind it. Understand that life happens. Understand that if you understand the story, you can help write the next chapter, being a part of it. But you have to be a part of that story. And if you miss it, some do this naturally. Some miss it completely. Some of us get rushed. I'm asking you to dig into these 4 principles. Look at empathy and really take a dive into your business this week with your team. See you soon.